Welcome to the Weightlifting Scoop. This is Glenn Pendlay. We have Matt Bergeron. We have Travis Cooper. I think we will have Tom pretty soon. We have Don McCauley. And let's get started.
Well, you got me too.
Did I not say Travis? Well, I forgot Travis Cooper, and he's the most important one.
Glenn and your sarcasm.
Well, that wasn't sarcastic. Well, basically, Travis is the one that's in control of the computer. And so nobody else knows how to run this computer to make this thing happen. And so Travis does it, and he is the most important one because of that.
All right, well.
I know I couldn't do it. If I was expected to contribute technically to this podcast, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, you just we'll stick to weightlifting technique for you and not technology.
That's we really need to do that. not necessarily the stick to weightlifting technique part, but keep me away from technology because it mystifies me, and not in a good way.
Well, so 14.3 is out, so we got the CrossFit Open going on. I've actually been watching them this year. It's pretty cool the way that they announced the WODs at or the the WOD of the week, if you will, for the Open. So last night they announced it, and this one's actually pretty heavy. So
what is it? It's
deadlifts and box jumps. So it starts out with 10 deadlifts, and does anybody know the starting weight? 135 for men.
And 95 for women.
95 for women. And for the men, it goes up by 50 pounds each round. And it also goes up by 5 reps on the deadlifts each round. The box jumps stay at 15 at 24 inches for men, 20 for women. Pretty cool workout. And I like it because it's much better than 7 minutes of burpees.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, anything's better than 7 minutes of burpees. But yeah, that sounds fairly heavy. It sounds like something an Olympic lifter could do good at.
And it gets all the way up to 365. They, expect some of the top athletes to get to that weight. But you know what? I mean, the two girls who demoed it last night, they had a tough time when it got to heavyweight. So I think some people are underestimating, 185 deadlift for women. That's a lot of reps because by the time you get to 185,
you've already done a shitload of box jumps.
And deadlifts. And
that's a technical term, by the way, a shitload.
Yeah.
Very, very scientific.
That's how I roll.
It's a tough workout. I mean, definitely a posterior chain workout, so you got to be in shape in the posterior chain. And so what do you guys think about that workout? Like, any strategies? I guess I'll pull up the actual workout and we can talk about it a little bit.
Try not to die.
I mean, my one seems like a good strategy.
Well, first of all, I mean, from your perspective, Glenn, being a power lifter, doing a lot of deadlifts, being in Olympic weightlifting, I mean, do you think that many deadlifts and increasing the weight in reps is safe?
I think it's probably safe because the people that are doing it are probably pretty decent deadlifters. I would think that if somebody was not in shape for the workout, there's probably potential for a lower back injury or something. But I think when you get up to the CrossFit Open WOD or the games, those people are in pretty decent shape and they should be ready for it.
Well, okay, so that for the top athletes, I don't think it's dangerous, although I don't think this is one of the workouts that they're going to be able to do over and over. Obviously, with it being fairly heavy, it's kind of like you got one chance to put up a good score, and if you screw it up, you might be able to try it one more time on Monday, but that's even kind of iffy. You're going to really smoke yourself if you do this workout more than once.
So did the two girls last night even finish the whole round, or?
They just got to the 185 deadlifts. One of them on that round got to the box jumps, but she only got a couple box jumps, and then Stacy Tover had one deadlift left at the 185. So these girls are some of the strongest girls in CrossFit, and they didn't get as far as Castro thought, I don't think.
Just looking at the programming or the setup for this workout, it just seems odd that they would go up in reps and weight on the deadlifts. Like they're trying to
make it difficult.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to make it difficult.
Well, the reason why they start at the reason why they start with the lightweight is because the idea of the open is to include everyone. So to have a weight that everyone can get through the first round. So that's why they kind of start out with the lightweight. However, they could still do high reps. But I guess they're just saying for the most out of shape person, they can do 10 deadlifts at 95 pounds, no problem.
Yeah.
All right. So, our executive producer, Tom Schroka, had me CJ Crowder's formula for 14.3 success, which it says step-ups on corner of box plus fast concentric singles beginning at bar, that is 55 to 60% one rep max, plus 5 transitions, plus 35-pound bar, plus proper movement prep, plus slow start.
All right, so I get what that means, but what he's saying is once the deadlift weight increases past like 65% of your max, or it approaches that, you obviously don't want to be doing.
You don't want to lower the bar slow.
Right. You want to cut that eccentric part out, so that makes sense. And then I guess it is possible that you can just do step-ups on the box. You don't have to do bounding box jumps, which would save a lot of energy, save your knees a little bit. In the lighter rounds, that makes things easier. I have mixed emotions about that. Obviously, at the end of the workout, you got like 30 seconds left. You need to get the box jumps done as fast as possible, but in the beginning, you have some time. You need to save yourself for the heavier rounds because the weight does increase. And as we saw last night when we saw Stacy Tovar do that workout, her back is starting to round. She was running out of energy, and she had plenty of time. She came out really hot, so the first few rounds are not the most important rounds of this workout.
Yeah, it definitely strikes me as the type of workout that you've got to go slow to start. I mean, you're not going to decrease your time or increase the amount of reps you can do by coming out very, very fast.
And with the 35-pound bar, his recommendation was to use a 35-pound bar, especially for the women, to save grip. It's a thinner bar, thinner diameter. Grip can be an issue when you're talking about, approaching 100 deadlifts. So some things to think about. It was fun, and I guess a lot of people have been posting about those shorts.
Yeah.
It was like, Castro was counting down. He's getting the two CrossFitters ready to do the workout, and he's like 10, 9, and then she starts taking off her pants. And goes from some Lululemon pants to, I guess you could call those shorts.
I guess they're the CrossFit brand competition shorts or whatever. I don't know. They were there.
But when your hips are up high and you're doing some deadlifts, those shorts become a thong. Let's put it that way.
I'll just, this is just a little public request for my male friends out there. Let's tone down the concern about the shorts when watching the Open, because I saw somebody last night when Stacy Tovar came out was a real concern about her wearing sweatpants versus wearing shorts. Like, they were just like, where's her white shorts? And it's like, you're missing the point of this event. It's not about.
So in other words, they were concerned about the fact that she didn't have shorts on.
Yes.
Well, that seems like a valid concern for a guy.
Well, then she certainly did. So everybody was happy in the end.
There you go.
Yeah. There's just a fine line between admiration and creepiness.
All right. When Matt says it's creepy, it's creepy. So, calm your tits out there, fellas. So we do have a couple questions that maybe we'll get to right off before we go into the next topic. So somebody asked, I have my first meet in 4 weeks. What number should I look to hit, and any recommendations for a taper? So we're just going to answer these questions kind of quickly. In 4 weeks is your first meet. Just, establish meet PRs. There's a difference between your jump PRs and your meet PRs. You're there to make lifts and have fun. So, if you can, just make a lot of lifts.
Yeah, the best advice for a beginner who's going to their first competition, I think the best advice is to start light, open with something you know you can make. Make sure it's something that you've made several times in the gym. There's no worse feeling in the world than opening up at a meet with something too heavy and end up bombing out. So be very conservative. Realize that your third attempt is what counts and not your opener. And try to make sure your opener is very easy. You'll always have three attempts of each lift. So try to make use of them. Don't try to open heavy.
Certainly. I mean, you want to, early on in your career, establish yourself as a lifter who makes a lot of lifts in meets. So kind of the way you establish yourself as a lifter is kind of how you're going to mentally look towards the meets. So, success is key from day one, definitely. Recommendations on taper as a beginner, that's not super important. But at the same time, make sure that you're fairly rested. But at the same time, you've hit your opener in the recent past and that you're mentally ready to go.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for a beginner is make sure you're mentally ready, because the openers at a competition should not be something that is hard. It should not be something that requires you to have your best performance. Being mentally ready and well rested are more important than having a perfect taper, I think.
So on to the next question. Let's see. High hang lifts are more than from the floor. So this person has higher lifts from the high hang than they do from the floor. So they're asking, why is that? How can I fix the first pull? Is that my issue? I don't think that's extremely uncommon to have a different, to be able to do more from the hang.
I think it's actually more common among good lifters than it is among bad lifters.
Right. So, I mean, fatigue kind of sets in as you move up. Plus, when you're going from the high hang, you can kind of use that, what do you call that? That rebound of the hamstrings.
Stretch reflex.
Stretch reflex. So, that being said, you can kind of get a little more momentum, a little oomph on it, but it shouldn't be that much more. So, definitely some people with a lot of technical issues on the first pull can have big differences. And if there is a big difference, one thing that you can do is a snatch with a pause at the knee, which is an exercise that Glenn likes a lot, so maybe you want to explain that and the benefits of it.
Yeah, it's just something that allows you to emphasize pulling around the knee. If you are pausing at the knee is going to be your weak point, because you actually have to start the bar moving again at the knee. And that is a weak point for a lot of lifters. The whole going around the knee, because you kind of, the pull kind of slows down around the knee. So if you're stopping at the knee, that's generally a weak point. And I think that stopping at the knee or slowing down around the knee makes you stronger at the knee, because it emphasizes you're building, not eccentric strength, but you're building, what's it called? Like
building isometric
strength, yeah.
So
isometric strength is something that most people don't emphasize that much. And so slowing down or stopping at the knee to have an isometric contraction at the knee is something that can be a good strength builder.
Yeah, so if, at the knee, it's your most disadvantageous position as far as leverage goes. So if you can strengthen that position and get some isometric work there, which is the fastest way to build strength at that particular position, then you can keep that from being the complete bottleneck of the lift, which is great. So one more question. We had how to fix dipping too low in the jerk. I don't know. The jerk is a skill, so it's something you can either cue or maybe your rhythm's off. What do you think, Glenn?
It's funny because most people that are very, very good jerkers generally do not dip that low. But I don't think that it's something that you can fix technically very easily, except through just routine practice. And you could maybe just try to dip not so low, try to do a very abbreviated dip, And beyond that, beyond just trying to make it routine, I really don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, so with most problems in weightlifting, you can definitely just video yourself and try to get closer to compare yourself to an international lifter that you think has very good technique. But aside from that, there is an exercise where you place the bar on your chest and you go to the correct dip position and pause and then kind of drive the bar off your chest. So you dip to the correct position, pause, building isometric strength again, and then you drive that bar right off of your chest. So we call that a jerk drive, or there's a variety of different names for that, but I call it a jerk drive.
Didn't Klokov have a period of time when he was putting out videos of a number of those jerk drives, basically after he front squatted the bar up and then he did a jerk drive?
Yeah, I mean, I know he does a variety of different exercises. I personally don't keep up with his videos all that much, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I remember it from some time back, not recently, but it's a good exercise, and a good exercise if you have trouble dipping to the right depth, I think is a great exercise.
So we've been having in training, we have what are we calling it? Complex
Cruelty Month?
Complex Cruelty Month. That is, Don McCauley had it. So today we're gonna have a little contest. The winner gets the title belt.
Yeah, which Morgan left before I could give it to her to bedazzle and make pretty, but...
Well, in the next couple weeks, we'll actually have a physical title belt. So as of right now, it's just going to be a weightlifting belt. But yeah, so last week we did the Cooper Complex. Not many people completed the weight that they tried, but it was a clean plus front squat plus 3 jerks plus 5 back squats plus 2 behind the neck jerks. Tom did complete it with 140 kilos. And it was brutal, though. I tried 155 because I had done 150 in the past, but no dice on the last 2 jerks. Caleb Whitby, just in Caleb Whitby fashion, he shot for the stars, and he went to 170, and he missed the very last jerk.
Just couldn't lock it out fast enough. Just little...
Yeah, so Matt did 120, just kind of like getting a number in there.
Trying not to die.
And how did you feel after that complex?
Like you're going to die?
Yeah, I kind of, rocked around in the fetal position for a little bit, laid on my back for about 5 minutes, and then I didn't feel like physically sick or anything like that, but I just felt drained afterwards. Because there's doing work capacity training and volume stuff, but that was just I never done anything that's combined weightlifting movements and all that together.
Yeah, that's an awesome thing. Like, I don't know, for some reason I adapt to high volume pretty well, so I tried 155, I didn't make it, but I really wasn't extremely fatigued or anything from it. But I know the first time that I did that, I was... Oh, man. Like, I was fine for like 2 minutes after I did the complex, and then it hit me. Kind of like when you do Fran or something like that, and you get done with it, and you're fine for like a minute, and then all of a sudden you're like over the trash can, like, holy crap, I'm dying. It's kind of like that, because it's just an extremely heavy weight, because you're trying to do it as heavy as possible. It was a contest for us. So today, the rumor has it that, we're going to do 3 cleans, 3 front squats, and 3 jerks, but I don't know. I think we haven't decided as a team yet. That's just what a few people were talking about.
I think that sounds like a good complex, though.
That's another brutal one. I've done that one a few times.
Now, are the jerks from the front or the back?
The front. So you have to do them in order. It's not clean front squat jerk, clean front squat jerk. It's 3 cleans. And, obviously... It's not touch and go cleans, but you can't sit there all day between the cleans. And then, Tom said, watch me. That's what we call a superset. People in bodybuilding used to call supersets when they would do 2 different exercises and do them back to back to back. But
we call them when you do them as slow as a super would.
Yeah. So if you're doing a triple and you take time to, maybe you do 1 rep, you tighten the weights even if you have collars on, you take a step back, you come back to the weight, and you do your second rep, and then you do the same thing, but even longer between the second and third. That's what we call a superset. But, not even that Tom even does that very often, but that, it's, yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I can't remember who said that originally. Maybe like James said it.
I think he was making fun of me when I first got here because we were doing some of the more basic complexes, and I would check my weight after every clean. Like, is it on there? Yeah, it's on there.
But being that we're like 18 weeks from nationals, even from Pan Ams, it's 9 or 10 weeks. So
this is a good time to train a little higher volume and push yourself doing things like complexes, extra hard. Complexes are great in so much as they force you to work hard and increase your work capacity because they have you under the weight for an extended period of time. I think the best complexes have somewhere between 15 and 25 seconds of being under the weight, and they can be made up of a variety of exercises. But the important thing is to just be under the weight for an extended period of time. They're very good muscle builders. Good way to increase your muscle mass in the off season.
Yeah, but in order for weightlifting to be sustainable, obviously you gotta do this sport for a long time to get good at it. So, we try to make it fun from time to time and put ourselves through torture in a way that, makes it a little bit of a contest so that mentally we can actually do this.
Everything's much more fun if you're being competitive. If you have somebody to be competitive with, it's good for, like Travis, can be competitive with James, and, he's obviously a little bit ahead of James on the clean and jerk, but, James is catching him on the snatch, and so, this is great to compete with your teammates and, take the, boring out of training.
Yeah, definitely. What, are you excited about this one, Matt? Are you excited to be laying on the platform for like 2 minutes after the set's over?
We'll see. I had a pretty good streak of beating people this week on certain exercises. Tom wasn't very...
And James is finally back from getting his wife gas.
Yep.
Yep.
Speaking of which, James, I beat you on that hang snatch complex thing we did on Wednesday.
I think I did 2 sets. What did you do?
He did half a set.
Oh, you mean those reps that
James
you missed?
James got three white lights on those.
Yeah. Yeah, I think missing the first rep doesn't count as a made double.
I got it.
Ooh, talking smack.
Well, I mean, if you count getting it as 3 red lights, I don't really have anything to say about that.
The official judges, who are they?
Me and James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be bitter.
And you still got 3 red lights and only 2 judges.
Don't be bitter.
When you only get 2 red lights out of 2 judges, something's wrong.
Whatever, you're just mad.
You're doing it wrong.
Why you mad, bro?
Oh, I don't know. I've got a lot of anger.
So, James, you got a monster there. What you about to do today?
Oh, maybe I'm going to beat everybody in the whatever complex we're doing today.
Cruelty month.
We're thinking about
Week 2.
3 cleans, 3 front squats, and 3 jerks.
No.
Okay, well, I think I could get maybe 150 kilos.
No way.
Tom says no way. I'm pretty sure I can.
So we're gonna definitely need the camera guy to make this video happen.
Yeah, so I brought my camera in case Joss isn't here, so we'll have some kind of video of this. Video proof that some people actually tried this freaking complex, and we're not making this up.
Tom is striking me as being extra negative right now.
But you know what? So last week, after people did the Cooper complex and James posted the video, we talked about Tom making the 140 and all that, and I had a ton of people. Oh, actually, Matt posted his video too. Had a ton of people trying this complex, tagging me on Instagram, and I'm sorry for making up that complex because I know you guys were miserable after doing it. But I really want to try that one again. I wanted to this week, but I've just been killing myself with the snatches. I'm really trying to improve on the high block snatch, but
I think we should do the Cooper Complex on the last Friday of this month. See how much people improved after all this volume work.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We got to get the team vote because I want everyone to participate. So, so anyways, maybe some of you out there will want to try the 3 cleans, 3 front squats, 3 jerks, and James will be unleashing the beast with a monster. So he's ready to go.
Oh yeah.
So we got a couple more questions we can get into. We got good books on weightlifting program design. Or just weightlifting in general. So, Glenn, you don't have a book out.
I don't.
That's a shame.
That is a shame.
But
I've threatened enough to do one, but unfortunately the threats have not carried through.
yeah, that'd be a good one. I'm sure a lot of people would like to hear your thoughts on weightlifting program design, but obviously you talk a lot about that in your seminars. Now, Don McCauley does have a book. He's our assistant coach. It's called Power Trip. I don't know how much it goes through program design.
It's been forever since I read Don's book. I hate to say that, but it's been a long time since I sat down and read that. And I don't really know how much it goes through program design. I actually don't. It's been, I've forgotten anything I read.
But it is a good book, and it definitely goes through the reasoning of why he teaches certain techniques.
Yeah, it's probably more a technical book than it is a program design book.
I know there's a few program design books. I know, what's the name of Greg Everett's book?
Oh, well, I think it's just Olympic weightlifting.
Olympic weightlifting or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. It's got a lot of different, it covers so many different things. Program design is definitely one of them. It has a lot of different things when it comes to weightlifting.
R.D. Dressler's Encyclopedia of Weightlifting actually puts out several of the programs from some of the more accomplished teams. The U.S. team from the 96 Olympics goes through their programming before the 96 Olympics. The Greek team, which I think is one of the big success stories of recent Olympic history. The Greeks won 3 medals here in the 96 Olympics or 92? I think it was 96.
Yeah.
They were very, very successful in 96. And they put out a real detailed approach to their training for that competition. I think there were several others, actually, but Wes Barnett had some of his training in that Encyclopedia of Weightlifting book. So it definitely has some programming stuff in it. Although I don't think it really has a chapter devoted to programming, but it definitely touches on it.
Yeah. I know Bob Takano does have a book devoted to program design. I've never actually read it, but it definitely is out there. So there's a few on program design, a few on weightlifting. I know you like that book, The Lost Past, when it comes to weightlifting history.
Yeah, I think that's a great book. The problem is it's out of print. Mm-hmm. So you really can't get a copy of it. I have a copy of it, but I bought it a long time ago, and I've loaned it out to several of the team members. Travis, have you ever taken that book home?
I do have it right now.
Or you have it right now?
Yeah.
No wonder I couldn't find it. Yeah, it's a good book, and it goes into a lot of the politics behind how weightlifting came to be the way it is today. How the fight between the French and the Germans back in the early part of the century, basically how the rules came to be, how they are today. And I think that's very, very interesting. Of course, it doesn't really talk about programming, but it's interesting nonetheless.
But it gives you some information that explains why programming and technique has changed, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, look into that one if you're a weightlifting nerd and you want the why of why things have evolved in the sport of weightlifting in general.
I got a question here.
Yeah.
So it goes, how do we feel about weightlifting being used as accessory work for other strength sports? So say powerlifting, strongman, Highland Games, that kind of deal. And what 2 exercises would we pick?
Well, I think weightlifting is probably more applicable to Highland Games than the other 2 sports you mentioned, because powerlifting is a very basic strength sport. There's really not very much technique in it. So weightlifting has some weak points in trying to use it for powerlifting. What was the other sport you mentioned?
Strongman.
Strongman. I think modern strongman is more of a strength endurance sport than a explosive strength sport. And I guess that depends on how you view strongman. But, the last few World's Strongest Man competitions have definitely been more of a strength endurance contest, which doesn't really, emphasize weightlifting.
Okay, so it wouldn't necessarily be, say, like, what exercise would you just, like, say? How would you use an exercise? So maybe doing complexes to help with certain aspects
that
of
would
it.
probably be more applicable. Something like complexes that emphasize endurance or strength endurance would probably be much more applicable to strongman. But if you talk about Scottish Highland Games, that would be the opposite. Scottish Highland Games is basically throwing. And so that would be more like training for the shot put or something like that. Shot put or discus. And that's obviously a very explosive strength sport that is more probably similar to weightlifting.
Yeah, I don't really think it would necessarily have much carryover for powerlifting. And strongman, it could. Now, it's usually if you're going to go overhead with something, it's going to be a big log press or something like that. So it's just a different implement. And maybe for muscular endurance or, training snatches or cleans to work on, like, the same movement that you would do when you're flipping tires. And there's a lot of things where you do similar stuff as flipping tires. And if you didn't have access to those tools, like the tires or the poles that you flip and all that kind of stuff, then you could do power cleans to kind of like work the same muscles, I guess. So kind of interesting. But
yeah, and if you were going to pick an exercise, I would say for more of the strength endurance type sports, the power clean or the clean would be your choice, and then for the explosive sports, the snatch.
All right, one last question. We're kind of running out of time here. We got to get to training here soon. How old is too old to start weightlifting?
50, 100, something like that. I mean,
that's a big difference.
That's a big. But Mary McGregor, a good friend of mine, and Neiman's grandmother. Neiman's actually sitting here listening to us. She won the world championships when she was 59 or 60, and broke all the world records, for her age group. So, and she did not start weightlifting until she was in her early 50s. So I think you can be quite old and still do well as a masters competitor. I don't think there's really any age limit on it. I mean, there are some people that have done well when they've been like 90. I think there's a guy in Hawaii that did pretty well in masters competition in his 90s, 92 or 3. I forget his name.
Yeah, but the one we get a lot of questions about this for kids. How early is too early, and also for masters, how old is too old? And really, the great thing about weightlifting is that it's adjustable.
Yeah.
So really, what you're teaching your body to do is just do functional movements. You don't have to go to max. You don't really have to push yourself too far. If it's a kid, you can just do the bar. If you're an older athlete, be smart, do weights that you can do with good technique, and use it as a tool as you're older to get functional strength so that you can continue to do things in life so you can have a high quality, happy lifestyle.
Well, they make toys for kids.
Mm-hmm.
They look like barbells. You can start them at 1 year old.
You can start them with 1 pound. I mean, Neiman, when did you start? You really started when you were 7, right?
Yeah, 7.
Neiman started when she was 7 years old and has done very well in weightlifting. She's won nationals, I think 3 times, maybe 3 times. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's won nationals 3 times. She started when she was 7, won nationals for the first time when she was 10. So that's great. My son William won the Junior Olympics for the first time when he was 6. So both of those people started when they were very young, and basically when they were old enough to do the movement, and had enough coordination to do the movements correctly, they could do weightlifting. So,
so
you're
really,
never too young.
There's not a too early or a too old. As long as you use some common sense and be honest with your capabilities. It's more important to be honest with your capabilities when you're younger and older, or if you're the parent of someone who's very young. But that's why I think weightlifting is a great sport, because I don't think there's a too early or too old, and you're doing the same movement over and over. So one thing that Glenn said that struck me is that when your kid's playing soccer, every play is different. When you're playing basketball, the ball's at different parts of the court every single play, or every time they're going up for a rebound. People are pushing them around, doing stuff that's unpredictable. Weightlifting is 100% predictable. When you have a certain weight on the bar, gravity is always the same. And so, with that being said, weightlifting is 100% predictable, and you're constantly strengthening the same movements.
Yeah. Well, Travis says it a lot better than I did, but that's entirely true. You're never going to, be out on a soccer field and have somebody run into you and blow a knee in weightlifting. You're on the same platform doing the same thing again and again and again, and it's a very safe sport because of that.
And the true statistics show that weightlifting is one of the safest sports. But that doesn't mean that weightlifting is exempt from freak injuries. Freak injuries happen in every single sport. So we're not saying nothing could ever happen, but it is predictable. So, I guess with that being said, we need to go ahead and kind of go to training.
Need to get ready for me to do 150 on this complex.
Yeah.
And then I'll do 151 after you've sat down for 3 minutes.
Tom is a doubter.
I will probably sit down for longer than 3 minutes.
If you make 150, you'll be welcome to sit down for more than 3 minutes.
I do have some awesome news. We sold 50 shirts on the Teespring, so the shirts are going to be made. So thank you guys for all the support.
Awesome.
And so hopefully we'll be able to have we do have some coffee mugs and socks on the website if you guys are interested. And hopefully we'll be putting out some more videos on the Weightlifting Scoop channel. If Josh is down here, maybe he'll film the contest. If not, I'll try to get a couple videos of these guys going for limit complex weights. So thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week.